Hey everyone, welcome to AskReddit. This channel is created for all of you Reddit lovers. If you like Reddit stories, this is the place where you'll find the best posts and comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to never miss an episode. This story is called The Funniest Moment in Your Life. I was up at my friend's cabin for the 4th of July with his family and some buddies, and we were boating over to a fireworks show on the lake. Once we got to a close spot, my friend's dad driving the boat says, "This looks good. Why don't you drop the anchor, Andy?" My friend clearly had never done this before. It was his uncle's boat, and his parents were also kind of new to boating. He looks back at us, still hesitating, and asks us, "So, I just drop this thing?" Myself and our other two friends are in the boat like, "Dude, it's an anchor, just throw it overboard." There's a little sense of urgency too, because we're starting to drift into other boats. Eventually, my friend says, "Alright, here goes nothing," and emphatically yells, "Anchors away!" for some reason. He throws the thing overboard, and we all watch silently as the anchor line quickly unravels off the deck until there's only a few feet left, and the final piece of rope slips out of the boat and into the lake. Apparently, it wasn't tied to the boat at all. I think it was the natural setup and delivery of this accident that made it so funny, because I've never laughed harder in my life. My friend's parents were visibly upset. Andy was still confused about how he managed to fuck that up, despite all his precautions. And my friends and I were on the floor of this pontoon, laughing uncontrollably. We called him Anchor Away Andy for the rest of the summer. Also, we learned later that there were over 100 feet of water, so the anchor wouldn't have hit bottom anyways. I live in a state where certain things are legal, and sometimes those things are put into candy bars. I had a friend visiting from Australia, and she bought one of those candy bars on our night out. The plan was to go to a sketch comedy show and then out to a bar. The thing about those candy bars is that they are very hard to gauge how much is enough or too much. We had 2 pieces each, felt nothing, so said screw it, and went for a third. Anyone who has tried this before knows where this is going. I felt completely fine for the first half of the show. The sketches were kind of lame, the stage was very simple, and it was mainly friends of friends packed into this tiny theater. Then, the ultimate sketch happened. Basically, a couple is walking on a street and another person ran up to them and said, "Give me all your money." The couple, terrified, hands him over their bags, and then the man hands them a mug and yells, "You've been mugged." I lost it. I was laughing so hard. I kept patting my pants to make sure I wasn't peeing myself. Violent, earth-shaking, quivering, hysterical laughter. The actors on stage loved it, and you could tell improvised more to keep the laughter going. I was just sobbing and howling, my stomach hurt. Everyone around me was cracking up from my laughter, and it just kept going. I had started to calm down when my friend just got up without a word and left. The show went on until I got a text from my friend who said she wasn't in an Uber because she just couldn't handle it. I started laughing hysterically again, no context. People probably knew I had had too much chocolate, and thank God we had another person with us that was okay. After the show was long ended, the mug was put away, and we were calling our own Uber. I was in a quiet lobby trying to calm down. Spoiler alert, I couldn't. And to this day, my friend will occasionally text me, "I've been mugged," and I chuckle. I swear I grew abs that night. I was at a bus station the early morning after Halloween a few years ago with my fiancé. We were waiting to go home, and there was a lady approaching people, showing them what looked like pamphlets. So this lady, dressed in what I can only describe as clown clothes, with really heavy blue blush and bright red lipstick, approaches us and asks us if we would like to buy a painting. We say sure, because what's a few bucks to help someone out, and I wanted to see what the paintings look like. She pulls out a bunch of bank envelopes with green finger paint smears all over them, and asks us which one we want. We both give each other a look of horror and politely decline. The lady moves on to the other side of the terminal and approaches an elderly Asian man. Obviously, she's asking him if he wants to buy a painting, and we can see him say yes, probably for the same reason as us. When she pulls out the envelopes and he sees them, his face drops in sheer horror and disgust. My fiancé and I fall into complete hysterics because we knew that's exactly what we looked like when we saw them. We spent the rest of our time watching her approach people and their faces when they see the paintings. We have a picture of this lady we took in secret to bring ourselves up when times are tough. If you're enjoying these Reddit stories so far, show your love by subscribing to this channel, and don't forget to leave a comment and tell me what you think about this video. Maybe you have a story of your own to tell us. About 12 years I worked for a small local production company. Sound systems, lighting rigs, staging, and the like. I was driving back to our warehouse in a 24-foot box truck after picking up some rental video gear. On this particular day, it had been raining heavily, but as I was leaving the rental shop, the clouds cleared and it turned into a beautiful sunny day. I'm cruising down a 2-lane road at about 40 miles per hour. Windows are down, cigarette hanging from my mouth, tunes blasting on the radio, chatting with my crewmate in the passenger seat. Up ahead, I see a large puddle across both lanes of the road. My eyes scan upwards from the puddle and fall upon a burgundy Jaguar sedan approaching in the opposing lane. We're timed to hit the puddle simultaneously. My truck sends a tidal wave of water showering over this guy's car as he passes by. It wasn't until the last moment I noticed the driver of the Jaguar, sharply dressed in a nice suit and tie, had his window down. It's not that I didn't feel bad for probably ruining this guy's day. I really did. But the mere fact that there was nothing I could have done to prevent this terrible, horrible, no-good occurrence in the gentleman's day made it extremely funny at the same time. My passenger and I were in tears, laughing for most of the 45-minute drive back to our shop. I was like 14 or so. A buddy of mine lived like 3 houses further in the street, and we were really close friends. One day he told me a story about something he did that day. Just picture this in your mind. He's living in a house with his parents, 2 floors. Living room downstairs with nice big windows at the front and the back of the house, 2 bedrooms upstairs. Just windows at the front and a nice balcony with clotheslines at the back. He had this thing to clean the chimney with. His dad probably left it upstairs after using it. Looks like a ball with metal hair on it and a rope attached to it, so you can lower it down the chimney and lift it up again. They have a nice garden with mostly grass out back, and he was curious what would happen if he threw that thing from the 2nd floor balcony on the grass. Why? Well, we were 14. So, he picked up the thing, checked if nobody was standing in the garden, and gave it a good throw over the edge of the balcony. And then, he tells me with a straight face, the end of the rope got stuck on the clothesline. The thing swung right into the big rear window of the 1st floor. Parents were sitting in the living room and nearly got a heart attack, as did he, as he was trying to think of escape routes. He considered jumping off the balcony, but eventually didn't. Because of the shock, the punishment from his parents wasn't even that bad, so he got lucky. I nearly wet myself, couldn't breathe anymore, tears running down my face from laughing. Of course, being 14 helped a lot, but I never laughed that hard again. Many years ago, when I was younger, a friend decided on a rather hot summer's day to have a barbecue for myself and a bunch of our friends in the back garden of his mum's house. For the majority of the time, we were being annoyed by random wasps that had made a nest in a 6-foot-tall hedge in his front garden. So after a few hours of heavy drinking, the men of the group decided the best course of action was to attack and destroy the nest, with an aerosol can and lighter. No one seemed to have the guts to get close to the wasps without fear of getting stung, so with the permission of the homeowner's son, I stepped up to the plate. Unbeknownst to me, the inside of the hedge was a dry and barren wasteland of deadwood. One quick spray of flame and the whole fecking thing lit up like a bonfire doused in petrol. In an absolute panic, we drunkenly attempted to try to get some buckets of water to throw over it, however it proved useless. Someone thankfully had the sense to phone the fire brigade, and then all we could do was stand and watch this inferno, praying it didn't cross to the house which was only meters away. The crackling sound this thing gave off, coupled with our panicked shouting, ended up attracting quite a few of the neighbors. And at one point, a guy who lived in the same row of houses looked out of his front door, darted back in, and then almost immediately shot back out with a kid under each arm and moved them to a safe distance. Fire brigade showed up not long after and put the fire out. No damage to anything except the hedge, and no one was injured thankfully, although the fire chief tore us all a new one after he was informed of what had happened. Once everything had calmed down, we sat and laughed for about an hour straight, reminiscing, and even to this day I laugh thinking about it. Thanks again for watching today's episode of Reddit Stories. Leave a comment and tell me what you think about this video. Share your story, and if you want to see more of this, please like and subscribe to my channel.